My name is Blurry. I was a producer on Orders, and my IG is blair.najel.
Lonnie Smith, everybody knows me, aka as comedian Lonnie. I was executive producer / producer a little bit.
What inspired me to take on this project was when I first read it, I was very, very intrigued as to what happened next. So I was like so ready to read the next episode. It was action-packed. It was filled with like not really knowing what was gonna happen next. It wasn't predictable. And it was just very different from the stuff that we had been producing.
We're looking for, just more content. I'm always looking on ways to expand. I love telling different kind of stories, not just funny stories. Comedy is how I got into the business, but he brought it to us, and it was something that was different. It was different from the other stuff that I was producing. So as soon as I read the story, I was like, it's a great thriller. I love thrillers. Always is one of my top watches. So along with like action, sci-fi. So it was kind of like a no-brainer when it came to me. It was just, let's put it out and entertain the people, make some content.
I think the biggest challenge was probably casting. I think at the beginning we had the perfect cast, like put together, everything meshed well, especially with the table read. And then as casting goes, people get booked for other things just happen where people aren't able to do it. But in the end, we ended up getting 90% of our original cast together. And the people who we brought in after the fact, they ended up meshing really well with the rest of the cast too.
Probably, I would say the casting, because whereas in comedy, I can make somebody funny, or I can, kind of play around with it a little more. This one, every character had to be, they had to tell a specific story, and they had to hit it on the mark. So just finding the right people to convey the message that each character had was, I don't want to say it was difficult, but it's just not necessarily my strong suit. So I would say that was probably the most challenging outside of schedules. So yeah, those two.
So one of the first steps I took was to make sure that we had dates for location. So we had two options. We had two options for everything. So 2 options for the table read, 2 options for locations, and 2 options for actors. And once we locked in those dates for location, we kind of went to the actors and gave them their options. And when it worked, it worked. If it didn't, then we just had to move on.
We had 2 location shoots. One was at a cafe and one was at a restaurant. And we had got to the restaurant a little late. So we had to shoot the end of the scene with a particular actor because we couldn't get him for another day. We had to come back. So I would say that, but even in that, we pivoted and made it work. So that was probably the only unexpected thing that I could mention.
So I think a lot of blending creative vision with budget comes from creativity for the most part. You have to use what you have, and you have to be creative with the things that are at your disposal. I know a lot of times we have like these big ideas, and there's a lot of ways to make it work and make it happen. You just have to be creative. Even one of the good examples that comes to mind is like Titanic. Like, they didn't go in the middle of the ocean and sink a big boat for the movie. They made a small model of it and did those scenes that way. So there's a million and one ways to skin a cat, honestly. So you just got to be creative.
Getting creative is how I budget it and balance it. Honestly, it's sometimes you want, hell, I would have wanted a car explosion in here, but it's just like, like, can you do it, or how can we make it look as believable as possible? So it's really just kind of getting in with the director and editor, which was me, but just knowing what we needed and just using our prior film knowledge to just solve any problems that may come. I know even in writing, there was particular things that may have been written that we just kind of pivoted from once we got into the actual space of the house that we rented. And some of the scenes, we would have liked shots like this, but due to time, we just took what was necessary and just just made the most of it. So really just being creative, like I think that's like I think that's Black people's superpower. I'm not gonna hold you. We always make more with less. So we did that with this, and people probably think, I don't know, they probably think we spent well over whatever they think we spent on it. But you know what I'm saying? It's just like we all literally used our superpowers and came together and gave it value. So
I think the most rewarding part was honestly just like the camaraderie and the family vibe that came towards the end of it. I know like the last couple of days, like the producers, the EPs, director, and all the cast members, like we just really felt like a super cohesive family, and everybody's kind of sad when it's over.
putting it out, getting it done, and putting it out. It was also a little more challenging for me just because I come from comedy editing and stuff, so you cut out a lot of fluff. But in this, it's like you gotta let scenes breathe. You gotta like tell the story. You gotta emotion, and then scoring comes in, and all of these things kind of come together.
I would say networking is going to be your best friend. You cannot do any of this alone. I used to write, direct, and produce my own projects. And one, it gets very expensive, but also it's just like you still need actors, you still need people who just know more than you. So I think the most important thing is to just understand that you need a team to be able to do this, especially at a high level.
I don't know, y'all. Just create. Just like make something. And I know people like get in this rut of like, oh, well, it gotta be perfect. I know y'all see all these movies and y'all see all of the Oscars, the Emmys, and all of these projects. You know, they win these awards, but like, you gotta understand that these people have been creating for years. Like I know it seems like a lot of people just pop up out of nowhere, but like their backstory is years long struggle. Like it's part of the journey. And just work with those that want to work, you know what I'm saying? Work with those that show up, work with those that are consistent, work with those who understand their superpower, and understand your superpower as well. Like, it's not gonna be the same. Like, me and Curtis' superpower are different superpowers, but together, we're the Power Rangers, you know what I'm saying? So, and yeah, stop making excuses. I don't wanna hear none of that excuse. I think this is probably going into a whole different direction. Didn't intend for the question, but just like, man, just make it. Just make the thing, whatever. Like, you got everything that you need to make it. Like, if you got an iPhone or an Android, whatever if you got a camera of any sorts, I don't care if it's a 2-megapixel camera, whatever, like, just create it. You're gonna learn on the way, you're gonna learn after it. It shouldn't be your first and last project ever. So just go out there, create, and make the best things you can make. And then move on, learn from it and move on.